If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Good morning, folks. Welcome to the K-Files. I am Lindell. Sandra will be back a little later with the General. I am here. Everybody knows who this is. Sheriff Keith Stone. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come in today.
Absolutely. Thank you. We got a lot to talk about, but the one thing I wanted I imagine we're going to talk about gangs, guns, and drugs, because I've never been within 10 feet of you without you talking about that. You did a press conference last week with a whole lot of people, the U.S. Attorney's Office and everybody else on this big drug bust that y'all did a few years back, and
right.
Now they're all convicted and spending a good time in prison. The thing that really caught my attention, you were talking about marijuana and how it's different now than it was when folks were growing up. You know, a lot of people, they think, oh, well, it's just marijuana, but it's not really just marijuana anymore, right?
It's definitely not marijuana that people saw in years past. You've got to think about it. This stuff is grown in labs. There's all types of intoxicants that are put into the marijuana today. The THC is a lot higher. I'm sure the motoring public have come up behind these cars and just smelled the overwhelming amount of signature that's coming out of those cars to smell out of it. 20 years ago, the marijuana was not like that. Also today, you've got to remember that these dealers, and we find it all the time, if they have marijuana, a lot of them have heroin, they have fentanyl, carfentanil, meth. It's all illicit drugs.
Right. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it's laced, a lot of it's laced. And it takes the mere end of an ink pen to have a person addicted for the rest of their life when they touch these strong, hard drugs. I was up at Meredith College a few years ago speaking to the freshman class, and one of the young freshmen there comes to me and tells me that her boyfriend, who was also a college student over at State College, was smoking marijuana. It was laced, and then she ended up in an overdose. He carries her to Wake Med, dumps her in the parking lot, and leaves her for dead. I cannot stress enough, marijuana is not the thing to have your children. It's not to be legalized. It's a gateway to other drugs. And if you're really in the trying times that we're in America, the last thing we need to do is be throwing something else out there to have kids to deal with it. It could be the demise of them.
Right, and so that's why I got here 2000, early 2015, and you're one of the first officials that I met, and you were telling me then a lot about highway interdiction and all that stuff, and your department does that a lot. I mean, you like teach that to other folks, right? I mean,
We do, and it right now, the drug on the scene that is scaring me, that I'm seeing through our DEA task force and our officers that are working the interdiction, and our drug task forces within the county here. I believe in working these drugs. It's the number one problem to the drug problem and the break-in problem and the demise of families, as I've said earlier. You work gangs, guns, and drugs. I think that it enhances communities because it lessens the chance of other criminal activity. Crystal meth is going to be a very big problem. I'm seeing it on the interstates being picked up now. We're seeing a little bit in the counties, and it's not the stuff that's made in the backyards. It's coming out of Mexico, and it's very potent. It's very dangerous. Where heroin takes a person and puts them in a depressed state and just calms them down, crystal meth hypes them up, gives them schizophrenic type behavior, and a lot of these people become thinking that they're invincible. It's going to be dangerous for law enforcement, it's dangerous for EMS, it's dangerous for family members, or anybody they come in contact with.
You know, a lot of the, because this show deals mainly with unsolved murders, but I see that in almost all of these cases, alcohol and drugs are involved somehow, and so, you know, I mean, there are certainly those rare instances where a lady's kidnapped and you know, murdered or whatever, but usually there's some sort of drug involvement in all this, right?
Domestic violence, sometimes guns, gangs, and drugs go with the rest of it. And,
right.
You know, those are the difficult ones to deal because it's the guns, gangs, and drugs are conducted in the shadows, and it's not like a domestic. Usually everybody knows who the person is that they're dealing with in a domestic situation.
Right.
And there's probably been events leading up to this where the gun, gangs, and drugs is more in the shadows and it's not publicly known.
And if you deal with, you know, we've talked before about like the broken window idea, that if you deal with smaller crimes, then you don't have to deal with bigger crimes. And if you ignore the smaller crimes, then they lead to bigger crimes. And I imagine drugs are the same. You know, it's becoming more and more popular in today's society to classify drugs as sort of a personal problem or a nonviolent problem, you know, just let people be kind of thing. But when you do that, though, you end up with a lot more crime, right? I mean, drugs are crime, right?
I was a state trooper in Edgecombe County, came in 1987, and I found out that I've enforced the law and write warning tickets on the very small things. You didn't end up having to deal with the bigger issues. If you ride up and down the road now, look at the enhanced speeds that are out here on these roads. Cars running up and down 301 up 80, 90, 100 mile an hour. One of the things that I'm trying to work with the governor's office this year is to get 4 more officers on our governor's highway safety grant just to deal with the bad driving habits that we've got out here today. You know, in years past, and I've changed this a lot from the sheriff's office being call responsive and doing civil papers.
I was going to say that, you know, 22 years I've been doing this, and you hardly ever hear a sheriff mention speeding or talk about traffic, because it's just not something traditionally that sheriffs get into.
It's not something traditionally, but the highway patrol is short. 1973, there was more troopers working the roads in Nash County than we've got today. 1973. Wow. And I, as a sheriff, and I, as a state trooper, and my men and women have to go to these accidents, and I can tell you, it affects everyone from the families to the EMS workers to the fire people, even to the funeral home of having to conduct a funeral of young people. The sheriff's job is safety and ensuring safety, whether that's guns, gangs, drugs, or if Governor Cooper's office and his governor's highway safety is generous enough to give me 4 officers to get out here where we can make the highway safe, that's what we're going to do. But
Right.
anybody that's driving the roads today, you look at the enhanced speeds, the careless and reckless driving, and the Highway Patrol can't do it by themselves. We're about safety, and not only can they do that, it's about adding to the overall safety, the school zones, the children in schools, these officers with the governor's highway safety team going into the schools, meeting these kids. I've just did a presentation to all up and coming children that are getting driver's license through driver's ed. They have to watch a film now where my office is standing here telling kids the dangers of a highway, and we're talking to them about what to do if stopped with the law enforcement, seat belt use, what to do if you run off the road, and how to bring it back onto the road. You know, same thing I will say with businesses. You know, I'm not the business leader, the city or the county manager here, but I will tell you, we've got to reduce crime. We've got to get it off the front page of the paper every time something happens, and we've got to have business growth here in the county. We can't have people in the parking lots walking around with high-capacity magazines, dealing dope into opening, and they're getting $1,000 bonds and turned out, and they're right back out here doing it again. We've got to help the city so that and the county, so that we have a safe community.
It's it's funny you mention that, because I know I was talking to officers from Tarboro last week, where one of the gentlemen that was arrested in the mall drug bust that you were involved in, a couple of days later, he's back out on the street involved in another incident up in Tarboro.
It is.
So, I mean, the bonds are set by magistrates. You know, sometimes the bonds can be a little low, in my opinion.
I think the one here was the $1,000 bond, and you've got to also look back. You need swift, sincere punishment. You've got a case in Halifax County where 4 people were murdered. It's coming up 4 years, and it has not been in the courtroom yet.
Wow.
You know, we've got to do better as elected officials of being held accountable to do our job. Anybody, if these people are guilty, they need to be sentenced and they need to be sent away. But if they're not guilty, they need to be turned out.
Right, yeah, speedy trial.
Speedy trial.
There's no reason someone sitting in 4 years for on a murder trial.
I cannot imagine why. I'm not working the case, but I can't imagine why.
Right. Okay, so I think I'm trying to figure out what we haven't covered. You've pretty much covered everything. What do you see like the future of law enforcement? Because, you know, last year was kind of a wake-up call for a lot of folks about police brutality, that sort of thing. But I noticed that you were, I went to the event in Rocky Mount last summer. You were there. I live in Spring Hope. A lot of people know that, some people don't. We had a march there. You were there for that. And, you know, rather than be in opposition to these events, you were there and you took part in these events. So, I mean, how important is that?
It's very important. And the job of law enforcement and my job is we're part of the community. We work for the people. I did attend these events. You know, I like to hear what people are saying, what's going on, what the complaints are. I must say, in Nash and Edgecombe County, what a great job the relationships with the church community and the community kept anything from happening in either of these 2 counties. Now, that can happen at any time. I urge people always get the exact facts before you watch a news station and get a fact that's maybe not even true. But I was
including this news station, folks.
I was pleased to see that our community did wait for facts to come out. And sure, there's a lot that we can do in law enforcement. I'm working every day to do that through training. One of the things that we've got to do, and I've spoke about it, is you cannot pay a law enforcement officer at the bottom of the barrel and think that you're going to get premier law enforcement. Benefits and pay is imperative to get professional people. And I think any citizen wants a professional person to respond to whatever criminal call that's there or domestic situation. And we got to remember, to be professional, you have to have good de-escalation skills, you have to have good communication skills, you have to have good interaction skills. Usually that's people that are highly trained, educated, and they're the ones that can go to another business and make a whole lot of money. You've got to pay for what you get.
Right.
And I think law enforcement's been left behind on that.
Well, I think Nash County, and again, I mean, I'm speaking from experience dealing with a lot of sheriffs across the state. You know, I covered a lot, sheriff down in Brunswick County. He was the youngest sheriff in state history, and then it didn't go so well.
That is correct.
You know, Dan Heath just died. I dealt a lot with him when I worked down there. He was a really good guy.
I think he's 54 years old.
Yeah, it's sad. The Nash County, Edgecombe County, I mean, we're really lucky that we have you and Sheriff Atkinson from the Highway Patrol. You know, there's a level of professionalism there that you don't really catch with a lot of sheriffs. And I mean, I say that with all the love in the world. I mean, like, I worked with Ed Brown for years down in Onslow County. I love the man. I mean, I was his neighbor for a long time. But he did things the way that he wanted to do them. And it wasn't necessary, you know, I mean, he just kind of did what he wanted to do. And so when I got here, and you're sheriff, and then Clee got appointed, then elected not long after I got here, it's just really refreshing to see professionalism in the sheriff's office.
Well, you know, I guess me and him are similar in very ways. Well, one, we're very close friends, but the other, we were shift partners for many, many years, worked the same days off, worked the same shift, the same roads. He was my backup, I was his backup. He's a trainer, and that makes the difference. And I come out of the training environment, and he did too. He was working with basic schools and the troopers on the road, the same as I was, looking every day to saying, what can we do to make a demonstrated difference, to make a safer highway patrolman and to serve the community better. And if you're not doing that and you're complacent in your office, then you're never going to grow your office. We're one of 10 sheriff's offices in the state of North Carolina that is going to be CALEA certified in the next few months. That is the benchmark of excellence in law enforcement. Usually it takes 3, 5, and I know some that's been working on it for 10 years and have never obtained that level. We did this in 3 years. The staff at Nash County Sheriff's Office is what makes that a great staff. Same thing with Edgecombe County. I was over at his sheriff's office yesterday.
I seen the pictures.
His morale in his office it shows what professionalism is going on over there and
Right.
how eager they are to serve the public. That's what I like to see. And another thing both him and I do, we're in the community. We're both out with our men and women working. One disclaimer, early in the morning, Sheriff Atkinson's not going to be out there, but late at night, I'm not either. I go to bed early. But one of us is in these twin counties all the time.
That's nice. That's great. One last question. Excuse me. To kind of bring this back around to unsolved murders. You know, you assigned Lieutenant Sherrard to the Team Cold case.
Correct.
The umbrella for this show, and Edgecombe County's got Lieutenant Muse. You know. I don't think we could ask for better people. Jeff is I've talked to him a lot. I mean, you know, we were talking before the show started about, you know, Jeff's love of cold cases and figuring those things out. So I think we appreciate you giving us the best people that you got for that, and not just kind of like, you know, pushing it off on somebody.
I think we're in a very good position with cold cases. I got a call last week that there might be some movement in one of the cases, and I get them calls from other areas with it. I had a man that his sister was killed last week, and they called in another county about cold case. And what makes this a very unique group is Lieutenant Muse brings so much education and professionalism from Edgecombe County. Jeff Sherrod is a career investigator, probably one of the best interviewers and investigators that I have been in contact with. And then you look at who's overseeing this thing, General Bray. This man is a general, or comes from being a general in the military. You just don't give out those type of commissions to just anybody.
Right.
The professionalism at that level to lead a group, man, I cannot commend him enough. Also, you've got yourself, who is passionate about it, just did story after story after story. You have are fighting crime, and she gives a lot of
Oh,
information
she
out here.
spends,
Kat
man, if she
does
got paid by the hour, we'd all be broke.
I do not know how much she can do.
And Captain Staten at the PD too.
Right, Captain Staten has so much, and he brings so much joy, and he brings so much inspiration. What a great group that we have here. The Twin Counties are so lucky to have these two that are serving, trying to solve murders, because, you know, after it's gone away from the headlines, people often forget about it, but the families don't forget about it. The EMS workers that went on the scene haven't forgot about it. The morticians don't forget about it. The neighbor don't forget about it. I just commend all of you for what you're doing to try to bring justice to these people.
Appreciate that. We went over about 10 minutes, so I think I could talk to you all day, but the General is here in the studio, and he's going to be talking about, it's been a year since we started all this, so we're going to talk about, you know, what's going on in that year and what we got coming up. So, Sheriff, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, and I thank y'all for allowing me to be here.
Be right back.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Welcome back to the K-Files, and I do want to say thank you to Barnes Safety and Consulting for sponsoring this each and every week, and also to Statewide Insurance Group. They're our great sponsors, and without them it wouldn't be possible.
Hey, I'm not Lindell K, by the way, in case you're wondering.
That's right.
I'm
This
not-
is, and after we did that, I was going to say, now we have General Gordon Bray with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You are the president of our organization, Team Cold Case.
Yes.
And you do a wonderful job, thank you, of keeping us in check, in line, whatever, to do the things that we do. And we're excited about what we do. We're passionate about what we do.
Yeah, in fact, there are a lot of folks. My moniker is We Are Team Cold Case, because Team Cold Case, people think of us as being part of the board, but the reality is it's our citizens. Somebody tried to
That's
call us
right.
early already. Can we answer
Sarah,
this?
yeah.
Well, good morning.
Yes, good morning. It's a live morning show.
Yes, it is.
You're on the air.
Yes,
No,
sir.
on the air. All right, is this the general or the chief?
No, you lost the chief. General's on now.
Oh, the general's on there. Okay. I was just checking in to see what's going on the live morning show this morning.
Are you not watching?
Are you not? I'm sorry.
Are you not watching?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Well, a few moments ago, you had the sheriff was on for a minute, and he was talking. I want to do something before we segue, if we can. He was talking, and he talked about the issue of marijuana legalization, and what people don't understand is he doesn't drink either. Okay, because he recognizes that marijuana actually is the same as liquor. So make
Thank
sure
you for calling.
Okay. Thank you for calling. But you missed that part of the show. But anyhow, he brought that up. And the comment is that they're the same. Marijuana, liquor, they're the same thing, especially in the mind of the sheriff, because he doesn't do either one. In fact, him and Clea Atkinson had a story that he should share, and I won't do it, but when they were just trying to figure out what it tastes like and the effects of it, he's got a great story about that. But anyhow, they're the same in both ways. One is that there's a swell in the United States, just like they did in Prohibition, where people are pushing for it to be made legal. And he wasn't discounting the effects, because the truth of the matter is that everybody that gets that first time you accept alcohol and you find that buzz, many are still chasing that buzz. And the reason marijuana is called a gateway drug is because many get a buzz from marijuana and they can never find that same smooth buzz, so they keep chasing it in different drugs.
Right.
And that's what he was really trying to get to. And so the argument for us as a nation isn't really just about the drug itself. It's about the recognition that there's a level of dependency that we've got to go for. Again, and I'm on the other side of this, because I'm like the prohibitionists. I know that folks are going to do it. The question is, we educate. So I say legalize it, but at the same time, we've got to really educate on what it does. And so anyhow, I'm the other side of that argument, but I want to make sure everybody understand. You were listening to your sheriff, who does not drink or participate in those drugs.
Right. Absolutely.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
So
That's fine.
we are now in finishing our first year of Team Cold Case.
And that's mainly why you're here today.
I am, and so
Talk about 1 year.
1 year of Team Cold Case, and we've spent some time. They're trying to help me here, so I'm going to smooth this to the middle here.
Okay.
This is we're publicizing a book with the cases that were that we've collected. There's a pamphlet coming out, Volume 1. It made available and show you the cases that we have. It will have the cases that go back between the 3 counties that are inside. There are a couple that haven't been included for a couple of reasons. One is that some of them have progress being made toward them, and our team has asked us not to include them at this moment. So it is a pretty good collection. And at the very end, like I said, Volume 1. About every 3 to 6 months, we'll do another update, and we'll include, I hope, no new ones, but ones that we may have thought we were further along with than we are.
Well, it'll be something very interesting for you to pick up, because I was looking at, when I was sent electronically the other night, the draft. I was just very, I was looking through the cases, and I said, for somebody that, of course, we're involved in them all the time. We talk about them up here and all that. But for somebody to pick this up and look at these cases, it's very interesting. It's very interesting to look at the cases.
It's a great read, and I won't go into any of the specifics, but there's one case where there's a young woman who was out, and she was one seen after the incident of the specific date. The night that she went missing officially, a person saw her bleeding at the mouth and talked to her, it just, I'm sitting there saying, where does that happen? And then of course she's seen later with another person. Then there's another person in there that lives with people, is dropped off at the house with people, and those inside the home swear to it, they never saw her when she was dropped off. And I know that means that somebody really saw something.
Right.
And that's the whole thing. I said we are Team Cold Case. We are Team Cold Case.
Right.
We the folks in the corridor. We're
Right.
Team Cold Case. Sandra, myself, and the others, we're the board, and all we're trying to do is make sure that we can do the work so that we can, incentivize people by giving them some dollars to bring closure, to come forward and do what really and truly most of them, they feel their heart wants to make right anyway.
Right.
And it just maybe pushes the conscience over just a little bit to say, let me step up a little bit and let this person rest in peace. Or let me find this person. We recognize that most of these missing cases probably are not with us. But just like in combat, if you wonder why some of those names on the wall are still considered missing, you got to have proof. And because there's someone at home who has hope that that person may or may not be discovered. And so we treat it the same way. Until there's proof that something's happened, that they're no longer with us, we call them missing. So somebody out there knows, and we gotta move forward.
Right.
But again,
and it
great
is
stuff.
Anonymous, General.
It is anonymous. The anonymous
Yes.
phone call. We don't see it. The board does not see it.
No.
There's an agreement that's made that as soon as the information is passed through, changed, anonymously received, anonymously passed to the law enforcement agencies, and once they say yes, we then go back and do cash payments.
Right.
So that there's
exactly.
no audit trail of who got the money or where anything. So please step up.
And I've also said we pay fast.
We do
We pay
fast.
fast.
Our goal is to pay within 7 days or less. We've made it in 72 hours or
Right.
less in every case so far.
We have.
So this is what we want to do, and like I said, we need your support. We need everybody in the Rocky Mount corridor. In the corridor, see if I got it in here marked out, but the Rocky Mount corridor is the intersection of 95 and 64 or 80 or now 87.
Right.
It's that intersecting space in the counties of Edgecombe and Halifax and Wilson and Nash counties. That's the corridor. And so I'm in the use my
And we do want to say, as far as paying out, we do pay upon conviction. I mean, do not pay
Charge.
upon conviction. We pay upon arrest.
Charge, that's right.
Arrest and charge.
Can you zoom in here? I don't know if you can or not, but
There you go.
at the very bottom, in fact, the book shows you. At the very bottom, the book shows you. There's a map that shows you the corridor at the bottom, shows you what we're talking about, shows you who's on the board, so that you can, when you see them on the street or normal on the street, you can say hi to them and tell those guys and ladies, thank you, because one, they're putting themselves out there, and they're making commitments of time and some of their resources to make sure that this thing continues.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
anyhow, you got to pay some bills, don't you?
Yes, we do. We got to take a break. We'll be right back with weather and then more from the General and myself.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.
Welcome back.
Well, thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. In fact, it's good to hear your voice. I want you to know I get up on Friday morning looking at the trains, and every time I wonder if you might be jumping on the train or so to come back up this way. So, you're always welcome where I'm at. I can't speak for WHIG, but wherever I am,
I think he knows from that party we gave him when he left. He knows he is. So it's our anniversary,
It's our
almost.
anniversary.
We missed it by a little bit, but and we have done some fundraisers. The one at Don Bullock, people are still talking about. I still hear about that.
Well, this is also one of our fundraisers, but that was a fun FUN raiser.
That was a fundraiser. The police chief in Rocky Mount talks about it.
Yeah.
He was there, and he's talked about it at 2 different events. He spoke to our Rotary, and then he mentioned it somewhere else, and I said, well, golly, we made an impression.
Well, that was his coming out party, because he came out and he got a chance to meet the folks in Rocky Mount. He got a chance to introduce himself, and I thought that was it was a great way for him to come into Rocky Mount. And like I said, see the best of us, because we had folks that came from all over the north, south, Edgecombe, and Nash county sides to see him, to see each other, to talk and support. And Cat of Fighting Crime did a tremendous job of creating some toys and things that brought folks out, and Mr. Williams and the bounce houses that he gave us. I shouldn't say gave, but that he gave us at a reduced price to ensure that it was a good day for the kids as well, and all of the sheriff's departments bringing out their vehicles for folks to crawl through and clean up later.
Right.
Gave a chance to see what was going on. I looked to see if I was going to spend a long time talking to the policemen and to the sheriff's deputies, but they kind of looked in and kept it moving. So I said, all right, but it was a good time.
Right.
Well, this is also one of our fundraisers.
Yes, it is.
And we didn't put a price on it. We're gonna ask donations, and they'll be at various places around, and we're doing a limited distribution of Volume 1. Volume 1 is the first one. Like I said, it will have the cases that exist, and there are 4 cases that we won't that we have not included that are more current, and they will definitely be in volume 2. But we're also asking that if there are people that we miss, there's information on how to go and submit it to make sure we get it in. And sometimes it might evolve a conversation that might let you know more than you possibly did as to why it might not be included. And but again, we want to make sure that everybody understands. Again, we are Team Cold Case. That's me, you, that's every citizen that's in the corridor. We gotta go and step up and make sure folks are uncomfortable doing bad stuff. And there are bad guys out there. We know it. And there always will be. And one of the things that I think we need to kind of understand here in Rocky Mount, in the Rocky Mount corridor, is that sometimes we'll have folks that will say, oh, well, it's bad. The truth of the matter is, across the country, crime is up, okay? In the past 18 months, crime has risen. And to put it into perspective, everybody knows that we don't make the top 50 in the country of cities over 50,000 for crime and serious crime. We don't make it. Anybody tell you anything different, they're not telling you the truth. We don't make the top 50, but we've got our crime. And the reason why sometimes it feels different to us is because most of us are pretty law-abiding. So when we hear about it, when we see, and somebody says, or we see it, we become our own worst enemy. We echo it like it's unique to us. Just in this state, per capita, the cities that beat us per capita, meaning per 1,000 people, murders, etc., we're beaten by Durham, we're beaten by Kernersville, not Kernersville, excuse me. We're beaten by Greensboro, Winston-Salem, Raleigh, who is also the number 2 most livable city in the country, by the way, and then Charlotte. Those are larger places with per capita, meaning not just the numbers, but the numbers per number of people. And so sometimes we beat ourselves up pretty badly. But this is also a way that we make those who do exist here, who do bring crime here, who do think it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. You know, and
Absolutely.
I lived in Fayetteville for almost 9+ years off and on. And there are significant places in Fayetteville that I tread lightly when I walk there.
Right.
But the reality is that I go everywhere, and everybody should go everywhere, because if you don't go into places, if you don't go everywhere, you tell bad guys, you have turf. You have turf.
Exactly.
You own it, and when we can't do that, because in every place there's no place in Rocky Mount good people don't live.
Right.
No
And
place.
you said it there,
Okay.
you know.
And so what happens is that if we say this area is bad, we made everybody in that part seem like they're bad, and that's
Right.
that's a lie. You know, so we got to be real careful.
There are good people in every neighborhood.
I've got a great story that I learned yesterday. Yesterday I was down at Fayetteville at a exposition of technology. Gentleman who was speaking, one gentleman stood up, unrelated, but started trying to chastise about character of the nation changing. The gentleman who was speaking was quiet. He had a tie, said Republican on it. So this guy thought he had an ally in understanding good quality conservatism. He thought that. The gentleman said nothing, let him talk. And without saying or telling his story specifically, but anybody who wants it, I'll give it out. He said I can do that. He said, what would you think of somebody whose parents gave them away? He said they were 14. Neither parent wanted them. Neither parent. What would you say if one of the parents killed one of the spouses in that household? And killed one of the children in that household? And then later on married that person. That was him. His father and mother were both doctors, PhDs. One was a neurosurgeon. They sent him to boarding school. And at 15, a judge talked to him and said, which parent do you want to live with? He said, why? He said, neither one wants you. He said, neither one wants you. And more important than that, the father then was dating a girl, and this other brother who was at home found out about it, and she killed him. But he was a big deal in Texas, and ultimately she never went to jail. Nothing happened at all. The father married that person, and this year, because he said it's about moving on, He's attending her 65th birthday.
Wow.
He said, because you got to learn to forgive, forget, and move forward. I told him I'm not sure I'd have that kind of capacity.
Right, yeah.
But what it told me was, he says, everybody thought we were a great home and a great place and great things.
Right.
But you don't know what happens inside.
No, you really
And
don't.
so the story, and so when I heard it, I've turned it into a story now because I'm going to use it later on. And I'm going to ask him, can I use his name? What he also, his outlet became rock climbing. No, mountain climbing, because he's climbed Everest. And that was his, so I mean, it started out with him just feeling like no risk. No risk is too great, I just do so, I just move forward. And it's what's next. Anyhow, folks, we are in a great place. Yeah, it's powerful. We are in a great place. We are in Rocky Mount, North Carolina. We are in an epicenter of weather, where weather changes. We don't get all the bad stuff that comes off the ocean. We don't get all the horrible stuff that comes from the northwest and cold. We have access to the coast, to the mountains, within 4 hours any direction. We have everything we want can be here. We need to just make our home better. We need to talk our home up. We need to bring in other people we think that thinks like us and bring it here. I'm going to tell you, I've been here for 7 years now. It's hard to believe, 7 years this month. It is the longest house that I've ever stayed in my 66 years of life. And I enjoy being here. Do I have moments of pushback, of times when it's just challenging? I won't say my wife goes with me on everything, because she does, and she likes, my wife's a city girl. She's become a city girl for sure. And so she likes all that cities provide. But I like it here. And I think there are other folks who are like me because you're still here. Some of you can go other places, but you choose to stay here.
Right.
Quit complaining about this and fix it. Cold case is one of our ways to move forward and do this.
That's right.
Let's not let people be comfortable.
Exactly. That's a very good point, General. Very good
Don't
point.
get comfortable watching bad guys do bad stuff.
Right.
And when good stuff happens in Rocky Mountain, tout it. Tout it and share it, because we've got a great history, from athletics to entrepreneurs around the country. Some have come back to do great stuff, but it happened here. Yeah.
And make sure you pick our book up. Make sure if you see our book, you get it.
There's the sponsors in the back. In fact, we have a few places that you'll find it parked. There will be copies laying around at Don Bullock's for sure. Each of the board members who are inside here will have some copies that you'll be able to access. Now, I'm going to say the board members' names. They've given me that authority to do that. So I'm going to say their names, and if you find one of these people in the book right there, because this is just a sample. I apologize. So you give a buzz to someone that you know that's a board member. Of course, Sandra, myself, Catherine Zudby, Lindell K, who, by the way, he's trying to get out of this. And of course, any of the police departments, Jeff Sherrod, Captain Staten, Wilson Muse, Pastor Antoinette Cutler, Andy Blanton, Kathy Williams, Malcolm Logan, Gwen Wilkins, or Captain Steve Sherrod from Wilson. Any of these folks will have copies of this, and they'll probably drop a couple of copies around at some of the at some of the dealership, the vehicle places around the city as well. But get a copy, look at it, look through it, thumb through it, and then see what you think, because we are Cold Case, and we are over this entire corridor. So please, 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 please continue to talk us up, talk crime down, and talk the corridor into expanding in the right directions. Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
Have a great day, everybody.
If you recently lost your job and your health coverage due to the COVID-19 pandemic and you think you may be eligible for Medicare, you probably have more questions than answers right now. Statewide Insurers Group, All Things Medicare, can help you with that. We can provide the guidance and the answers that you need to get the benefits you may be eligible for. Don't let this time of uncertainty jeopardize your eligibility for your Medicare benefits. Remember, relationships matter. Call Statewide Insurers Group today for the answers that you need now. 316-8166.
Being prepared and trained is the best way to keep your family safe. The best way to be prepared is to learn from those who've spent a lifetime protecting us. Barnes Safety and Consulting LLC offers concealed carry classes with instructors who are law enforcement officers active and retired with more than 100 years of law enforcement experience. Monthly classes are taught year-round with private classes and special group rates available. Classes are $75 and held in the Bailey area. Call or text 1-800-653-0643. Get your concealed carry permit and avoid becoming a victim.